at the time, I was into the modern players at the time. It was like Branford and, you know, Billy Pierce. You know, I used to listen to Art Blakey. I pretty much tried to listen to everything. I had some friends that we would trade tapes and stuff like that, and they would hit me to a lot of stuff, you know. So from, I guess, right out of the gate, I had some pretty hip friends, which helped me. You know, I remember hearing like Free For All, that record, and just like being blown away. Blue Train was one of my favorite records for a long time. Oh, it still is. But and so I got to Berklee. I kind of had sort of some fundamentals together. I had learned a bunch of solos. I was amazed when I got here that of the level of the students. There were so many incredible students. I don't know if it's ever been quite like it was when I was there. I'm not sure. I'm sure it has heydays, you know, to come, and has had a lot of great times in the past. But when I was there, so many great young players that I learned from and jammed with all the time. Jeff Keyser, Rod Hargrove, Kurt Rosenwinkel, Antonio Hart, Joshua Redmond lived in Boston. He didn't go to Berklee, but Jorge Rossi, Mercedes Rossi, lots of players. Melvin Butler, Dwayne Burno. I'm gonna forget somebody if I try to name all of them, so I'm not gonna name everybody. But you know, it was I mean, faculty and resources of the school aside, the player just being in an environment. You know, if you want to learn how to play tennis, you got to play with people better than you. And that's exactly what happened to me when I got here. I met all these incredible players, and you know, I got my kicked, you know, and I think that's what it's about. Actually, that's one reason why I never went back to, say, Vancouver, where I came from. Is just I kind of I wanted to be as good a musician as I could be, and I felt like, you know, at the time, Berklee was a great place for getting my ass kicked, and I think I gradually started to realize, one thing that I started to realize was that my playing was a little bit overly derivative and lick-based. Some, you know, for a while, Kurt Rosenwinkel was my roommate for, I guess, about a year and a half, and a tumultuous year and a half. But I learned a lot from him, players like him, you know, other people too. Sort of, maybe about what I kind of learned from him was maybe not kind of finding your own ways of playing, not, because we were kind of coming from opposite places, trying to go to the same place, but I was coming from all these transcriptions and that, and he was coming from this kind of intuitive, I'll hear it and I'll just sort of find it. I'll find that thing on my instrument in my own way. And he would draw these funny diagrams and charts of his, you know, guitar just to learn the fretboard and stuff like that. So that inspired me to kind of be a little bit more. I wanted to be a more natural player. Also, like a guy like Roy Hargrove, I remember seeing him play. You know, we were 17 or 18, and I would watch him play, and he was so natural. Like and it wasn't that he had, you know, he wasn't a Jeff Keyser. He didn't have all the, you know, Jeff was like the encyclopedia. He was like, you know, it was like Revenge of the Nerds Part 8. You know, he came to Berklee. I thought he was a professor when I first came here. I saw him playing, and he just played so much. I mean, he knew everything. It was kind of scary, and but he still is a very gracious and humble guy, and I learned a lot from him and played a lot with him, and but my point was there are these different kinds of players. Like Roy Hargrove was not necessarily didn't have, like, you know, that encyclopedic knowledge, but he was very natural, and what he had, he was able to really tell a story and be very natural with it, and always kind of play what sort of fit in the moment. So I was trying to get a bit more of that. So I went from a kind of a transcription phase. Oh, I suddenly forgot a really important friend who was here when I was here, Mark Turner. Used to shed with him all the time and practice with him, and anyway, names are popping into my head. But I wanted to be more of a natural player, so I kind of tried to make a transition from practicing licks and solos and memorizing solos to kind of trying to play and actually being creative with practicing, and for instance, maybe one kind of technique would be to take a tune, put on some kind of metronome. My favorite metronome I ever had was when I bought a Rhodes one time. It came with this old vintage 70s drum machine. It wasn't even really a drum machine. It was more like like those push button. You could push it and get cha-cha 1, samba 2, funk. But the great thing about this one is you could push multiple buttons at the same time. So you could do like cha-cha swing 2, cha-cha 1, and sometimes it was pretty hit. I used to run that just through like a little amplifier, and it was like a kind of a more inspiring metronome for me. So I would start to play tunes, and I would try to maybe focus on an idea, as if, not to use that sort of dumb jock gym metaphor again, but focusing on like a muscle group, focusing on one actual technique, or focusing on, let's say, you can pick something really simple, and it could be harmonic, rhythmic, melodic, So maybe I would start with, something rhythmic. I would just practice playing triplets and trying to start my triplets in different kinds of ways and different kinds of triplets. The more I felt like I could focus on one thing really specifically and try to play it for an entire chorus, the more I felt that I understood that concept and could develop an idea. Because when you listen to somebody play, it should be kind of like, there should be a story there, and like, how do you get a story, I guess a story is really, it's going somewhere, there's an arc to it, and so it's not just